I spoke about this and more tonight with Democratic Congressman and House Intelligence Committee member Jim Himes. Congressman, what do you make of the Washington Post reporting the idea that Vladimir Putin might have helped color President Trump's view of Ukraine? I mean, it does seem like yet another example of something that at this point is shocking, but I guess not surprising.
Yeah, I read that story, and I guess I'm not surprised. I didn't happen to be in that particular moment of the testimony, but I'm not at all surprised if that is true. Look, obviously, Vladimir Putin has every interest in causing our president to believe that Ukraine, apparently all the things that the president believes, that it's a corrupt country, that it's beyond repair. If Putin can have the president thinking, and of course the story also referred to President Orban of Hungary, who has his own reasons, but if President Putin can get our president thinking in those terms, it can drive a wedge and ultimately allow Putin to succeed in his desire to ultimately control half of that country, retain Crimea, and do whatever he wants in Ukraine.
At least part of what the Post is reporting comes from what State Department official George Kent apparently told congressional investigators last week. I know you said you weren't there for that part of it. You're on the Intelligence Committee. Can you say, I don't know if you heard anything that Kent said, did you find him to be a credible witness?
I did. In fact, of all the witnesses that we have interviewed, Kent was remarkable. Kent is one of those people with near photographic recall. When you ask him a question, he can tell you dates, times, and locations. So truly a remarkable guy. I mean, again, we've had this experience on a number of occasions with different witnesses. When you have an opportunity to spend a lot of time with our professional diplomats, you get a feel for what just incredibly high caliber people they are.
The Post also cites a former White House official who described the struggle to contest the influence of Putin and Giuliani and the Kremlin-allied Prime Minister of Hungary in these terms that, quote, over time you just see a wearing down of the defenses, and essentially saying, according to the Post, that a lot of the people, Mattis and Kelly, who had been able to kind of limit the damage that Putin could do with this president, without them being around, the president is more susceptible to a Putin or to Orban from Hungary, who the president met with without anyone else present.
Yeah, or, by the way, certainly Giuliani. I mean, my guess is that the president talks to Rudy Giuliani a great deal more often than he talks to Vladimir Putin or Prime Minister Orban. Now, the questions you ask obviously make it that much more important that we have a better sense than we do for the topics of conversation when our president talked to Putin. But I almost worry more about Rudy Giuliani because, as we know, and you only need to look at Rudy Giuliani's Twitter feed to know that he trades in these conspiracy theories about the DNC server being located in Ukraine, about the attack on our elections not being what every single member of our intelligence community believes, an attack by Russia, but being an attack by Ukraine. Rudy Giuliani whispers those things in the president's ears that resonate, that are about his self-interest. Professional diplomats, the Secretary of State, others, foreign policy is really, really hard. Victories in foreign policy are measured in inches. So when Rudy Giuliani calls up the president, as I'm sure he does, and, spews crazy conspiracy theories about the president's enemies, no question in my mind who the president listens to more acutely.
The Washington Post does make a point of saying that, according to the sources, neither Putin nor the Hungarian prime minister sought to use the Biden family or the 2016 election conspiracy theories to turn the president against Ukraine. But the newspaper also says that the whole thing just basically reinforced what President Trump already thought and made it all the more difficult for others to convince him to support the Ukrainian government, despite the fact that they were under attack from Russia.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the really sort of ugly themes in this presidency with respect to our foreign policy. Of course, Putin, who's a very savvy individual with a background in intelligence, a background in manipulating people and getting people to do things that they don't necessarily start out wanting to do, of course he's going to know how to manipulate our president. We just saw an example of the Turkish president, Erdogan, manipulating our president into a practically impossible position where Republicans are criticizing him. We've seen a North Korean dictator, hardly a sophisticated individual, but all of a sudden, rather than being, subject to sanctions and difficult initiatives by the United States, the president is in love by his own statements with the dictator of North Korea. So, I mean, again, this is just, it's not hard how to figure out to use flattery, to use conspiracy theories, to be on his team in such a way that you pretty quickly get Donald Trump on your side. And I think world leaders recognize that.
Yeah, Congressman Himes of the Intelligence Committee, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson.